Hello, dear friends. We are sincerely happy to welcome you again, and today we are going to talk to the esteemed Igor Mikhailovich Danilov
Greetings.
and Diana.
Greetings.
I am sincerely happy to see you here today and to discuss in such a beautiful circle, in such a good company, a very important topic which concerns so many people. It is the topic of a loss of the meaning of life. The thing is that a great many people today live in a state of stress, in a state of tension. Many have faced tragic events in their lives or simply a mass of uncertainties. And of course, this is caused by terrible climate disasters, global conflicts, forced migration, loss of loved ones, and economic crises. A mass of problems has suddenly fallen upon a person all at once. And it is actually a very serious ordeal for many people, even for those who consider themselves to be sort of psychologically stable people. Well, and questions that arise in one's head are of the following nature. Why is this happening to me? What kind of a world do we live in? Why do we live in such a world? And how to go on living with this? What is the meaning of my life? What to stake on in the future? Does my life have any value at all in the future? And many people live in a kind of permanent state when, well, I live aimlessly just to get through the day, and then come what may. This is certainly a very scary state. And a lot of people have sent us questions concerning what to rely on at this time, because everything they relied on has basically collapsed. And there are no prospects for the bright future they were building. So, what or who to rely on at such a difficult time?
Yes, indeed. The question of the meaning of life has always been crucial for people. But now it feels like people have come face to face with this question and they're lost. That's exactly what they say. They call me and say, I've lost myself and I don't understand how I should go on living. I'm an adult, I have a family, I spent all my life or most of it to provide for my family, to build a house for my children, to build my business. That was the meaning of my life. I spent most of my time and energy on it, and in one moment it all fell apart. So I really don't understand how I should go on living, or what has a meaning then, if everything can be lost in an instant. But there's also a very important point here for parents, something that they feel even more confused about. Children do see and understand what their parents have spent their lives on. They see that this can be lost in an instant. So what's the point then? And what should I tell my children? After all, the most important thing for children is when their parents are confident, their parents have something to rely on. As for children, they rely on the state of their parents.
Well, yes.
Thus, of course, there are a lot of these kinds of questions now. And people call and say, we're lost, we're just lost. And there's also such an interesting point. It turns out that people relate what they used to have. My home, my business, my place of residence, my circle of acquaintances, my status in society. And if I suddenly lost all of that, I lost myself.
And a lot of people also think, what shall I leave to my children?
Yes.
A person has actually been building his life somehow. He has accumulated something financially, and suddenly, in an instant, he understands that there is nothing in front of him. There are ruins, and he has regressed a dozen years back at best. So indeed, what can he leave to his children? What can a person in the modern world leave to his children?
If a home, that's what people think, a home. By the way, it's also a very important point. For refugees, the first loss that is hard to bear is their home. For people, their home is something reliable, something that protects them. But nowadays, missiles are falling onto houses. Nowadays, houses are collapsing and burying people under their ruins. If not so long ago, one could somehow say that my home is my castle.
Yes, right.
It is something reliable, it is my protection. Today, it is more than strange to say so, but people have a need to have a home.
Well, these are mindsets. These are patterns which we are used to. And we, friends, live by these patterns without realizing that in reality, we don't own anything, and in reality, we have nothing. This has been said since ancient times by very wise people, but we haven't heard them. Why? Because our parents and our parents' parents used to say that our home is a castle and that we have to leave something to our children. But if we ask you, friends, how many of you received something from your parents? Here's the answer. In many cases, They didn't leave anything at all, right?
Yes, many spend their lives on that.
And that's not the main thing. Again, we have just said the syndrome of losing one's home. But on the other hand, if a person lived in a rented house,
That's right.
it didn't belong to him. He has a family and children. But excuse me, he couldn't even provide a home for himself. But he loses it. And he again experiences an emotion of losing his home.
Yes,
Is this normal? After all, it's not his home. He didn't even have one.
yes. Considering that most people nowadays live in rented apartments or don't have their own homes at all, yet a home is something that strongly holds a person.
But what is a person's home?
That's the point.
That's a good question. If we look at this situation, we should first take into account what a person considers to be his home. Is it a place where he feels good, where he is protected? Yet, in the modern world, can a human be protected at least anywhere? Even if there is some super modern and super concrete bunker. Yes, it can withstand, as you said, missiles are falling, and it can withstand missiles. It can withstand even a nuclear strike. But will that help against the Cerberus? Of course not, friends. As of today, no one is protected. And in fact, one has to look at the root of the matter. What is really a home for a human? And that's where it all starts. It seems to me the main problem is that we have totally forgotten who we are. We have forgotten that we are human beings. In the video Egregore, you and I touched upon the issue of unity, the issue of an egregore. In fact, we are divided. We don't have one united society. We have just groups that make up some kind of a community which is divided, fragmented. There is division even in the family, not to mention anything else. Isn't that so? As of today, I think it has disastrous consequences for all of humanity. Meanwhile, there should be a single egregore of all humankind. We should be one united civilization. We should have a clear understanding, a clear idea of what our home is. Well, it is clear that there are those who benefit from us thinking that our home is, pardon me, four walls. Or maybe more. This doesn't change the essence. That our home is a certain place on the map. That's our home, and we have to sacrifice our lives for that place. Isn't that so?
In a global sense, it would be good if a person owned the whole world, as in the creative society, so that in general, in every corner...
That's how it should be.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. We are children of one planet. All of us are closer than brothers. We are closer than, well, let's just say, even the closest relatives. Let's take a child and a mother. They're genetically very close, so in all of us, in each of us there is something that connects us even closer, that which people call the soul. It all comes from a single source. It is what we were formed from. We as humans, as human beings, it is what creates us as personalities. That's what is most precious. And where does each of us as personality aspire to? Home. And what is home? Four walls on some piece of land? Or is it actually something greater? After all, whatever home we have, we will only exist in it for a short period of time. Isn't that so? While in the native true home, there is eternity. I believe there is a huge difference. And this point is missing. Well, times are like that, and the world is like that. Now, it is certainly hard to talk about this, but it's a fact.
You've just said that many people seek this very feeling of home, so it turns out to be a feeling of security of some kind.
No.
The shield is...
It's not a feeling of security. It is more, much more than that. It is our consciousness that tries to interpret our feelings to us, you see?
Yes, exactly.
And it tries to explain to us that something will protect us at home. So what? Has it protected us? A simple question. Where is my house? So did my house protect me or not? There is no house. That's the whole answer, right? And how many people have lost their houses, but thank God they themselves remained. Yet, unfortunately, there are also those whom their houses didn't protect, right? There is neither a house nor people. Did their house protect them or not? And here's a simple question, where are they? That's the main answer, and life is not given to a person to build a house here and multiply. Every bird builds a nest, and every animal digs a hole. Every animal and every bird multiplies. There is no human heroism in that. While a human is essentially dual, there is both an angel and an animal in him. So if we fulfill only our animal part and do not fulfill our main part, then how are we different from animals? That's why we have such a world, filled with evil and unhappiness. And, excuse me, at a time when someone needs help, there are even those who want to provide that help, but someone has made up a law by which those who are willing and eager to help people who are in trouble cannot do that, because human law forbids them to. Meanwhile, God's law compels them to do that. So, does it mean that a human law is superior to the will of Allah? A simple question, is that so? Is it higher than conscience and higher than humaneness? So what kind of world do we live in? What have we built? Yes, when there was peace, when there were hopes for long years of existence of this world, when there was fight and confrontation, there was something to fight for. Then it was possible to understand those people who created such conditions. But now, in the face of the Cerberus, when it has come to us, to our planet, when it is literally tearing it apart, and we see that it is already tearing it up, do we continue to live by the old patterns? Isn't this ridiculous? I think it's ridiculous. And all these stupid values that have been imposed on us through our consciousness, on us as personalities, well, they are ridiculous. Never and nowhere will we feel peace or find protection, even from each other, let alone the Cerberus. Isn't that true? What walls will protect you? Will you be protected in your house? Of course not. You know, until a person is confronted with reality, he has many illusions imposed by other people. Everything seems to be fine in his place. Nowadays, there is not a single person and there is not a single country where everything is fine. Just at this point, while the Cerberus is out there, all of us are, excuse me, between the hammer and the anvil. This is true. If we become aware of that, then maybe something human will awaken in us. And while we still have a chance, we will actually want to create one united egregor, to build one united community and start existing as a normal civilization in unity. Then we'll have a chance, and then we won't have any syndrome of loss, any stress of having lost something, of losing possessions, because we had to move from one place to another. In the creative society, none of that is a problem. Even now, it is actually far from being a problem. It's just that people give value to things that have no value at all. Here, you just have to understand, dear friends, that you won't take everything you have with you. You use it temporarily. And whatever you think is yours is not yours. Even your body does not belong to you. Moreover, your consciousness does not belong to you. Thoughts that you have in your head are not formed by you. Try to form your thoughts. Observe this process, and you will see that for yourselves. After all, we are no longer the only ones talking about this. Thank God we have broken through that armor, and now many people are talking about it, including scientists and physicians.
People themselves.
The world is changing, because this is really so. And if we come to the truth, if we build the creative society, then everything that was hidden from people will be revealed. Then it will be simpler and easier to live. Why? Because the truth must prevail. God's will must be the main here. And everything that is human in us must be the law. And only human, only angelic qualities must manifest. As for everything that is beastly, all the distractions, separations, that which we've been taught over thousands of years and to this day, all our news feeds are sheer stress and sheer separation. Enemies are created for us. There is no need to create enemies for us. We all live with the worst enemy of humans, with the devil in our heads. That's where the truth is, and that should be talked about, not in fairy tales of various scriptures as a tool of manipulation, but the truth as it is, and to call things by their proper names. That's when the world will change. Then we will not worry about losing some house or having to move somewhere. Or the situation has changed and we've lost our status. What status? Whatever you achieve in this world, my friend, you will lose it. And your status, the highest one which should be desired, is the status of an angel, not just a mortal being. That's what you should aspire for, and that is real. Whereas here everything is fake. As we said, it's a world of illusions. It's a simulation on the one hand. You fight, you achieve something, you suffer. You stop at nothing, striving to rise above others, just forgetting what Jesus Christ said. So the last shall be first, and the first last. This is worth thinking about. Is it worth oppressing or infringing someone in order to rise above them? What's the point? Everything is simple, friends.
You know, Igor Mikhailovich, people have another problem that when they lose everything in this world, seemingly everything material in this world, all their attachments, all their property, and so on, they sit down and think, what can be not taken away from me? Everything has been taken away, my whole life has been ruined, the world around has been ruined.
Life can also be taken away.
Life can be taken away too.
And it is taken away to this day, en masse.
But you know, they immerse themselves in their thoughts like, they cannot take away my ability to reflect, my ability to think. And this way, many people end up creating an alternative reality in their heads.
Of course. And they become even more deluded. Why? We have just said that even your thought, my friend, does not belong to you. You only have the right to choose one or another thought that comes to you. That's it. And when those very demons impose on you an idea that your thought cannot be taken away from you, your feeling that you are a human, you think, therefore you exist.
Yes, exactly.
You exist, but you don't live. The only thing that no one can take away from a human, neither the devil nor his henchmen can, is his life, if he attains it. Therefore it is important in this world, right now, to comprehend life, to attain it, to start living right now. That's when no one has power over you. Why? Because you become not just a human, controlled by Satan, but you become part of the spiritual world. The entire world, everything we see around us, everything was created instantly, with just one thought of God. So in order to fulfill your true potential, the one that everyone feels, the power that is in everyone, you should agree that you feel it. But you try to channel it through your thoughts to solve your material issues. You apply it in the wrong direction, yet you should channel all that power to one thing, towards gaining life. That's when you will get billions of times more power, and as part of God's world, you will be able to create such worlds so that beings like you will come to the boundless world, the world of God. That makes sense, while everything else just doesn't make sense. I understand Tatiana has prepared an interesting talk for us on how to get out of the crisis. After all, a lot of people are in crisis as of today. And I heard interesting stories from Diana about how people get into the worst conditions of today. Indeed, and they try to get out of them. Sometimes very funny and naive stories, but it all happens only because we are stupid, only because we are controlled by Satan. And you see, I have answered everything from the beginning. That's not right, is it?
Straight to the point. It's very right, Igor Mikhailovich.
Right?
It's very right because this is actually the essence. And the value of time encourages you to speak the truth openly and at once.
I'll put it this way, when a person has the keys, then any door opens in front of him.
Of course, certainly.
When he knows the truth and the essence, he can look at any situation, not from inside that situation, but from the outside.
Exactly.
From the inside, you won't see anything. You will only see it fragmentarily. Try to stand in the middle of a room and see all four corners at the same time. Our vision is not like that of a chameleon. We cannot do that. While in order to see them all, it is necessary to rise above that room. Then you will see everything. That's what I mean.
Yes, because at such moments, people's perception is narrow.
When you understand the whole cause of human troubles, including your own, you understand how you should behave, who you should be, and what you should be sad about. Many people say, yes, there are problems, we've been through so much, but you're still alive. It doesn't matter what you lost or whom you lost. What matters is that you are alive. If God has saved your life, then you shouldn't despair. But if you have experienced something terrible, you must do everything so that others do not experience it. And when you devote your life to people, believe me, my friends, everything changes. The devil retreats, bad thoughts go away, and life begins anew. There is no sorrow or sadness, there is nothing. And there are plenty of such examples. Diana also told an interesting story about a woman who lost everything, right?
Yes. Her husband and child died. It was such a terrible situation. She left the house and went to the pharmacy, and a shell hit the house at that moment. It would seem such a sense of guilt and despair is supposed to overwhelm a person. Many people just really go crazy and cannot cope with it. Yet she made a completely different decision. She got into a flow of refugees. There were a lot of people around her who had come through a similar situation. And she started taking care of those people, of those women who were so desperate and those helpless kids who were around them. And I remember her comment that she said, "It's the only thing that keeps me from going crazy."
This is true.
Yes.
Why? Because she began to live not by herself, not by her own problems, not by her own losses. Again, why do we despair? I'll digress a little bit, friends. We despair even when we lose our near and dear people. We have lost them because we treat them, even the near and dear ones, as property. That's the trouble. You have to agree this is true, and we perceive the loss of a near and dear person as if someone has robbed us, infringed on our rights, they have taken away mine. Isn't that so? But when you begin to live by caring for other people, then you understand that every person is a human and he is important. Yes, a near and dear person is the one you are used to, he is dear. But until all of us in this world understand that we are all near and dear people, we will be killed by people like us, people who kill people. Is this normal? Yet if we don't understand the essence of this world, we'll be destroyed by the Cerberus. If we all do not become one big family, we will not exist. And you must agree that this is right. Everyone inside is aware that this is right. Consciousness doesn't agree with it. How come? God must intervene and protect whom? Murderers, selfish, greedy creatures. Or should he carry us in his arms because we suffer so much? But why do we suffer? A simple question. Because we have forgotten who we are. Because for us, more important is our house, our things, and our near and dear people whom we perceive just as a house, a thing, or a car. My property, mine. Forgetting that another person is a human being and he is a free human. Even the child you gave birth to is a free human being with his right to choose. And in fact, we have no right to impose anything on him, especially religion, or where he should go to study or work. That's his life. And he has to make a choice. Yes, we can give advice, just like to any other person, but to force, to compel, and to solve our own problems, our unfulfilled dreams and desires through our children. This is unacceptable, but that's what we actually often do, don't we?
You know, there are very inspiring examples when people act for another person without expecting anything in return.
And that's the way it should be.
Neither any gratitude.
Isn't that what the prophet taught? The last prophet, the best of people. If you help someone, forget it, right? If you can help, but you don't help, are you really a human? If you can help, you're able to, and have helped someone, forget that you've helped him, because you've helped not him. You've helped yourself, first of all. That's the point. You've helped yourself to become a human, to rise above your own poverty and your own wretchedness by helping other people. And that's a great example which Diana described, that the woman caring for other people had found a completely different understanding of this world, whereas if she was withdrawn into herself and forgot about other people, after all she was heartbroken, all that would have awaited her would have been the terror in her head. She would have eaten herself up. This means a person becomes a subpersonality right here and now. What for?
You know, Diana herself is also an example of how to help people while being in difficult situations. And you know, it just impresses me when people act this way, how the consciousness of another person, the person they are helping, changes and expands. It's a wonderful story, excuse me for touching upon it. It's a story from your practice when, in fact, being in the combat zone, you were helping people.
Let's hear from Diana, because you've nearly told it all.
It's a question that really, I would say, causes a lot of resistance and misunderstanding in people. How? Can I stay calm under any circumstances? People usually call and say, how? I'm sick and tired of everybody here. They're provoking me emotionally. And will I stay calm? And there is a frequent comment from people. You can reason under more or less calm conditions. But how? Right? So when the war began, a lot of people left right away. And about 3 weeks later, I received the first calls from those who were already in a safe place. Help me deal with my condition, we have a problem. Especially after a month, after 2 months, there were more and more of them. And as a rule, those were ordinary requests about relationships. And since our situation was very unpredictable, with constant alarms, my consultations were interrupted. Let's say I had to go to some other place.
To a bomb shelter?
Yes, to a bomb shelter.
To a bomb shelter, to basements.
Yes. And once there was a counseling session of such kind, we were talking and the person was expressing her doubts. Then she heard the sounds and said, you already have alarms down there. I said, yes, I apologize. The connection is already being interrupted. I'll have to leave now, but when I can come back, we'll continue. After a while, I called her back. We were chatting. She continued her story, and we were doing relaxation practice together. And she went on, no, I still don't understand. How can I stay calm if the person really doesn't regard me? He provokes me. And then there was suddenly such a pause. She fell silent and said, oh my God, what am I doing now? I'm calling the doctor who is in the war zone. Well, she herself left that zone earlier, so she understands what's going on.
Well, yes.
So she said, I'm in the most comfortable conditions, not just safe, but very comfortable ones, and I'm asking to help me calm down. She said, this is madness.
It is exactly madness.
Yes, but you know, suddenly she understood. The most important thing is that she understood. I mean, she called to talk about relationships. I'm not getting along with somebody. And suddenly she understood what relationships are the most important, what a person has that allows him to remain.
When a person has no goal or a false goal, such problems arise. A conflict in a family, at work, or something else, a person cannot live through it. His egoism has been hooked, and demons are pissed off in him. And what does a demon manipulate the most? Pridefulness, human selfishness, indeed.
Yes, I was mistreated.
It manipulates this. He was treated wrong. He was cheated on or something else. After all, he is so good, he deserves everything. Well, he's been treated disrespectfully, and it is such a trouble, and demons are gnawing at him. And the person argues in his head. Well, it's not he who argues. He is sitting like a mouse, excuse me, under the baseboard and watching those actors in his head, showing him overtly dramatic scenes. And he is not aware that he is paying for this theatrical performance with his own life and his own future. This is true, and that's the worst thing that can happen. When the person is sitting in comfortable conditions, friends, as far as I understood from preliminary talks in a villa, at the seashore, on vacation, well, the doctor, excuse me, in a basement under shelling, has to calm this person down. And you know what? I'll tell you, there's no tragedy here, and there's nothing extraordinary. This is the way almost all people who are manipulated by a demon behave. Thank God this patient realized that the doctor was in worse conditions.
The comicality of the situation.
It's just comical. Yes, it's to the point of being comical. Well, she has a petty matter because her love affair and her relationship is faltering. And let's just touch upon this, okay? Relationships between people. Why does something hurt us? People often break up. Somebody said the wrong thing, did the wrong thing, behaved in the wrong way. Pridefulness versus pridefulness. You know, it's like flint rubbing against flint and sparks fly around. There is no other way to put it. All this foolishness and most divorces really happen because of pridefulness. It's just that one doesn't give in to the other who will dominate whom. And if a person seeks power and dominance, what does that mean? It means he is simply controlled by Satan. Nothing more. Until we understand, friends, I'll say it again, that even our relatives, our closest people, are free individuals. They have the same rights as you have. And they have the right to make mistakes. They have the right to change their choices. Well, they may be fed up with us, and they want to live differently. They have the right to do so. It's ridiculous and stupid to be sad because someone left you or look at you in the wrong way. Why? Because in fact, those who left us, maybe they are a lot more honest than we are. Why? Because if there is a conflict in a family and it ends up in divorce, the liar and the exploiter is actually the one who is trying to keep the family together. Why? Because it's mine, who will I dominate, or who will provide for me, or simply, whom will I bully, just to put it simply, while the other one just leaves. Why? Because he's a more honest person. If the scythe and the stone don't match, then they should split up. What is unnatural about it? A simple question. Or should you suffer and tolerate this all your life? I also like it when often people, mostly women, suffer and tolerate alcoholics or drug addicts. You know, such a maternal feat. I'll educate him, because he sometimes has moments when he stops drinking or something else. Wait a minute, if a person is an alcoholic, if he abuses alcohol or a drug addict abuses drugs, and they are much more valuable to him than his family, then what family are we talking about here? And what is holding the woman back? So what, should I abandon him? He's not a dog after all.
Betrayal.
Also betrayal. You see, it's like, I'll destroy humanity, but I will save a bird. You know, such heroism and bravery. Stupidity, which is just ridiculous, right? When people start taking risks, walking on thin ice, because there is a little hair stuck in the middle of a lake. So a person risks his own life and also creates conditions for mirror neurons of other people when after him someone else wants to show heroism and they run to rescue a little hair. Compare an animal and a human. Do you understand? This is when people do not understand the value of human life. They do not understand that at this point, the devil is simply robbing the spiritual world. When for the sake of saving a little hair, the devil pushes an unfulfilled angel to death, to a subpersonality, deliberately, even with a 50% ratio. This is 50% that a person can die right now for the life of a little hair, while a lot of people stand on the shore and applaud. What kind of heroes have run? Well, is that a comparable price? A simple question. Others will say, so should we turn a blind eye? You see, you should not treat human life carelessly. It's the most precious thing that exists in this world. Even all the animals on this planet are not worth one single human life. Why? Because it is from a human that an angel can be born. It will not appear from any beast. That's the point. Life should not be underestimated.
Speaking of the value of life, there are also such large-scale facts happening now, which are actually even scary to look at. People are leaving the war zone. We remember, especially the first refugees, mostly women were leaving, taking their children along.
Yes.
They fled away. What was the goal? One goal, to save one's life and to save the life of one's child. Everything seemed to be clear. 3 weeks passed, a month, especially 2 or 3 months, and here comes a message. I want to go back. Where to? Why?
Under shelling with a child.
Why do you want to return? I don't feel comfortable here. But it is said by those whose standards of living somehow
Used to be more comfortable.
Yes, it used to be. It was. Yet there is another category, and it is also very large. When people flee, and their comfort is not lost because they can afford it, their financial level allows it. Friends met and helped them and so on. Then you ask them, why do you want that? I want to go back. With a child under fire, why? I cannot fulfill myself here. I understand that all this may easily be explained from a psychiatric point of view, but really, the price of the issue is human life, and one doesn't want
A child's life.
a child's life and one's own.
First of all, as a human being, you don't have a right to risk your own life, just don't. And secondly, risking someone else's life is absolutely forbidden. It is not allowed. It is unacceptable. And how can you risk your child's life? What kind of mother are you then? Simply because you want to return to a place where you were praised, where someone elevated you, and to put it simply, where they pulled the wool over your eyes and told you that you are a good person. How can you be good if you try to return some comfort or some kind of a status for yourself by putting your child's life at risk? Regarding yourself, you have this right, although, I repeat again, you don't have the right to risk even your own life if you can avoid that. This is wrong, because at that moment when you are thoughtlessly, let's say, negligently risking your life, those are the tricks of Shaitan. And at that time, you are his slave. He is pushing you, and not your angelic nature. That's the point. And then they blame God, right? Where was the Lord looking? But why turn away from Him? And then be upset that it happened this way. After all, it's our own fault. As of today, we as humanity have turned away from God. And here's the result, our world. And this is the truth. If we hadn't turned away from God and His messengers, would the prophet's hound, that dog which he spoke of, the animal that is simply tearing our world apart, be raging in our world right now, and it will not stop unless we stop it. Yet we can stop it only jointly, only all together. How can we, people, motivate each other to save the lives of all of us? That's a good question, isn't it? In our modern world, should we hand out money to everyone so that we all unite? It won't work. What are the other options in our consumerist format? A threat to life? We are witnessing it now, literally. We have just talked about how, for the sake of her comfort, the mother takes her child to a place where bombs and shells are flying, where people are being killed and die, just in order to regain the illusion of some kind of comfort of hers. Such is our world, and it is worth pondering for everyone.
And what will help, Igor Mikhailovich? What will help to unite? The work of mirror neurons?
The work of mirror neurons too.
The thing is that, of course, these terrible events that are happening, and even the earthquake that was in the southeast of Turkey and in the north of Syria, so many people, when you watch the footage, they're shouting, Allah, Allah, help, in every video. And everyone understands that the disasters that are happening are due to the fact that somewhere people have stepped away, and internally they understand that they have stepped away from Allah. They have stepped away from the teaching of the Prophet. And there is an understanding that they have betrayed this inner brotherhood, that they are separated from one another. And I remember very well what you said about how important it is to help without expectations, because the most valuable thing in this help is not only that you help yourself as a human being, but also something that people are not even aware of. The way they erase these barriers between friends and foes. There are a lot of experiments, plenty of them, which show that when at least one member of a group, which seemed alien to you, helps you, you start to feel this empathy, not only towards that one person,
Towards the whole
but
group.
also towards the whole group. Many people say now it's a hard time, a time of crisis. Yes, to some extent, it is also a time of opportunities, but there is actually an acute question. What will we build next? I remember you saying that many people say life is lost, but is it actually life that is lost?
Is it really life?
Yes. Is it really life? Now is the right time to build this life, true life. It is this simulation, this illusion that is being lost.
Now we have a really unique time. We all, as a society, can get rid of this simulation, and we can indeed build a real world, build the creative society. This is the kind of world that everyone internally dreams about. These are soft cushions for everyone. Why? Because there are no better ideas to date. This is what resolves all our problems and fulfills all our dreams. But we are not doing that, no. As for us, we are actually doing it. And a lot of volunteers, millions around the world, are striving to implement this idea. We are doing it. But why aren't we as humanity picking it up? Why aren't we being heard? Do you know? Because we as a society, we people, those who suffer the most from the decision of our rulers, they have decided to start a war, but we are the ones who die. A simple question, do they die? No. Do their children die? No. Who dies? We do, my friends. Why? Because we are nobody and nothing. See how sad this is?
It is sad.
Here you go. Hence we are who? We are...
And free, let's call it this way.
Yes, or as they say, people from below. So we, people from below, have decided to change the world. Will they tell good things about us on TV or write something good in the press? No. Why? Because all television and press belong to those heroes who make up new scenarios for us, which we have to implement at the cost of our own lives in this world, so that they become heroes. Isn't this true?
Of course, I understand what you're talking about, that mass media actually have a different task. Our task is to bring together one united human egregore.
Exactly. While nowadays, the media is a tool that destroys our united egregore, breaking it into small fragments, encouraging one egregore to collide with another, so that we engage in self-destruction, like in the times of El. Isn't that so? Yes, there was one El back then, whereas now there are slightly more of them. But has anything changed? Nowadays, is a human really a human? A simple question, whose life is valued as the highest value?
You know, Igor Mikhailovich, there is also another question. People seem to feel the need to somehow help another person and say, but what resources do I have? What opportunities do I have? Yes, I agree. It seems to be good, and it is necessary to help another person and to overcome this barrier of disagreement, and I myself will feel better. But what resources does a person have?
Tremendous ones. If he says that, it means he can talk. It means he has a huge resource that he is not implementing, you see? I will explain, friends. Yes, we are just people, and we are easily manipulated by those who are at the top. However, their authority rests on our shoulders. That's the answer. And in reality, if people want something, it will be the way they want. We just need to tell those who are around us about it. But tell them in such a way that they want to tell others, those who are around them. And that's all. The world is changing, and we need neither television nor the press, nothing, because in a while they will start saying the same thing we are saying when most people in this world start talking about it and want it. But this is a chance for survival of the entire humanity. The only question is whether we will implement it or not.
I remember you saying that this is actually a golden time.
Indeed.
Many people think that now, yes, it is sort of a hard time, an inappropriate time, perhaps.
It's a time of change, and tremendous opportunities open up for us. We can really change the world. We can stop existing as slaves, as a tool in someone's hands, and we can start living fully and with dignity as masters of this world, because Allah has given us this world for everyone. Recall the words of the Prophet, recall his constitution, recall the way he behaved. After all, we quarrel with each other over trifles, don't we? But let's recall episodes from his life, from the life of the best of people. He is the man blessed by Allah himself. What did he do and how did he live? Let's give a simple example of a Judean who lived next door to the Prophet and threw rubbish at his door every day, right? And the Prophet took that rubbish out without saying a bad word to him. When his friends, the ones like you and me, guys, advised the Prophet to talk to that Judean so that he would stop doing that, the Prophet, being the best of people, said no. I am an example to you all. And he went on taking out the rubbish. And when one day he went out and there was no rubbish, he became worried about that Judean and went to his home. While that man was lying sick, if the Prophet hadn't come and hadn't helped him, he would have died. Do you understand the point? But afterwards, that very Judean followed the Prophet. Meanwhile, we throw rubbish at each other and go nobody knows where. But we do have a chance.
Igor Mikhailovich, thank you very much for this example of high morality. It's an example that everyone who actually has and harbors this love and feelings inside wants to strive for.
This is what every person has. Even those who consider themselves absolutely, as they say, lost in this world. Even those desperate people have personality and a soul. And as personality, they understand perfectly well that this whole world, all this simulation, is a perversion of the essence. The world has to be different, and everyone understands how to do that. Only Satan hinders us from coming together and creating one united egregore, but it is merely Satan, and he only hinders us in our heads. Recall the Prophet, recall Jesus Christ, if they are not authority figures for you. Then think of the Cerberus. It's a very good incentive for us all to act differently. And this is true. Do you see what the meaning of our time is? Either we follow the prophets, or we become food of the prophet's beast, his watchdog. Isn't this actually just? That's the highest justice, and Allah is sending us a new opportunity, a new chance for all humankind to change. So, don't we have the will to really listen to the will of Allah Himself and fulfill it, to change this world? You know, all these habits, customs, everything we are used to, it will all disappear very soon. This is really true. So, let us use these changes to improve our lives, to change ourselves, and to stop being enemies. Let's follow the best of people and take his example. Yes, we will have to throw away the rubbish for a while, maybe even after someone. But later on, those after whom we throw away rubbish will become our friends. They just don't understand it yet, but they will. We can do a lot, friends. And we can even put that very prophet's hound on a tight collar and a short leash. We are given it all, but we are given it all only when we are an integral whole and not as we are now, merely fragments from a single vase of the world. All of us should think about that. Then all sorrows will be gone. Then there will be no psychological problems. That's true. Why do we have all the problems? A simple question. All our psychological problems have one root.
Selfishness.
Just that.
That's all.
Just selfishness. And that's what the doctor has told you. But if we replace our selfishness and self-love with love for God, a lot of things will change, right?
Right.
So friends, let's just love each other and the world will change, right?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, friends. Peace be with you.